How's it going, guys? It's Mr. Lone Wolf, and today we've got this Western Star 6900 twin steer. We're gonna put her through her paces. It's a pretty big thing. It's to be honest, after doing this, I think it's better than I thought. So we'll start with the upgrades quickly. Obviously, stock engine. I think that engine you just have to buy. You can't find it. That's the engine you want. That's the daddy engine, and it's a monster. This thing definitely like brute forces its way through a lot of situations that a lot of others wouldn't. As for gearboxes, you've got obviously high range and off-road. I prefer high range, but because it's only rear wheel drive and you'll be in the diff lock sometimes, you might want off-road because you've got obviously the 3 low gears. Suspension raise, obviously, definitely worth it. You'll see it in a couple of minutes as stock. You'll see why. I was going to cut these out, but I just thought while I'm scrolling down, I suppose you can see all the different tyre options and the size difference. Like, I think that's when you find it, they're the tyres it's got on, and once you jump up to the bigger ones, they're pretty monstrous. Is it 63 inch, which I think even the Caterpillar and the Antarctic thing are only 71, so it's not silly far off them. You can obviously see the difference there once you step it up. Obviously you need the raised suspension for that, which is on White Valley. But yeah, with raised suspension, the top engine and these tyres, it ain't as bad as, like, a lot of people have just completely wrote this off, but as you'll see in this video, it impressed me a bit. I ran out of money, I couldn't buy the winch. I had 300 grand the other day, I have absolutely no idea where that's gone. Just, I don't know, horns and stuff. Snorkel, you definitely want a snorkel because if you've seen in yesterday's video, its swimming abilities. It can just scrape by with the stock ones, but it's not worth it. Exhausts are all twin stacks, so it kicks it out to the side with them as well, so I just bought some that time. Horns, you've got the triple horns, we've actually got branded horns, I put them on. On the roof you got the beacons, I think it was. That's parking lights, but for some reason it makes the camera angle go round to the back. And then you got basically 2 options of roof bars. One is just like fog lights and one's beacons as well. I had the just fog lights, but I put them on. As for the bumpers, the stock one is one of the best. If not, I'd say that's the best, the heavy duty pipe I think it is, because that one sits lower. You'll see here, if you draw like an angle from the front wheel to the bottom of the bumper, it's like the steeper the angle, the better. There you go, I'll put that in. Like, that bumper's pretty decent, and so's the heavy duty pipe, but the others, yeah, sit lower, so you're more likely to hit your chin. With like that bumper I've put on, it's you can hit the chin, but again, you would with pretty much anything if you do with this. It's just a sun visor, I'll pop one of them on. This is where all my money goes. Yeah, there are 2 options of rims, not a lot, but I like the second ones better, I reckon. All the normal colours, I won't go through them all because we know them. These are not the camos, I suppose they're paint schemes on this. I quite like that one, yellow and black. To be honest, I think all of these are pretty decent. That black and red. These 2 would be my least favourite, but I don't dislike them at all, the blue and green. And then that's the one I've got on, I quite like that. So anyway, we'll go outside, we'll have a look at it. That's what she looks like, it's a big old beast. I just quickly, while I remember, that spare tyre, you can see the difference in tyre size from like the original to the bigger ones, and it does make a difference. But yeah, it's definitely a big old beast. I like it because of that, and again the engine is just pure brute force everywhere, which is definitely my style. I'd rather brute force and then get stuck. As for inside, a lot of dials on the dash. You can actually see out the back, which is always a plus. Even the roof looks nice. You know, when you ram your head out the window, I can't actually see obviously past that smokestack, but later on in the game, I don't know if I've got the footage in here, but I picked a container up and I looked out and I could see, like, it's like it made it invisible. I only did it twice, I wanted to see the animation. See, when I rev it, it centres my head, but I was trying to look at the dash just to see the dials revving. That's a pretty sensitive rev counter, I like it. First problem is, it's got the turning circle of a small ship, but in fairness, it has the decency to float like one as well. Put it in high though, it soon cranks it up. The steering's not that bad either. If that was the Derry Longhorn, that trailer probably would have hit it, but I managed to turn away in time. Just hit the handbrake and squeeze my way around that. But you can see here in auto and high, this is like one thing I definitely like about it, is it flies along. I mess it up here. I thought I was in high, so I dropped it down and put it in reverse. But it would have flew through here otherwise, and these are sort of roads, but they're dirt roads. This would be the first test. This is definitely pretty boggy mud, and as you can see, just, yeah, brute force makes up for a lot of, like, not having all-wheel drive. And it's not really running out of power, it's just the nature of the game and the terrain that it eventually is worth just dropping it into auto. But I think if I'd left it in high, it wouldn't have stalled, it would have just wheel span until it stopped. And that's one thing you don't want to do in this, because once you dig the back tyres in, they're pretty hard to get out. But there is ways around it. See there, eventually didn't like sitting in high, it is possible to stall it. You see that back plate as well, just while I remember, near the back wheels on the top. That's actually, in real life, if you press a button, a fifth wheel flicks over, like you can see like the rust patch where it'd sit. It's a shame they don't, they've obviously know because they've physically put it in, but it's a shame they haven't got that on, so you could tow a trailer, but I'll give it a few minutes and I'll show you something. Yeah, along here though, again, like it's not proper roads, and it's definitely going along at a pretty nice pace. Like I say, if it was like this, well, a lot of trucks I'd be happy with this pace, all of them in fact. Like the TUZ Tattering can go anywhere, but it's slow, this thing, pretty rapid. Fucking trees. To be honest, I was like, that's fine, I'm doing a video. I'm over it. Even when that blocked me, fine, I'm over it. Try and reverse and it's blocking me. Like, Jesus Christ, tree, we haven't met, have we? Check, I've got some reversing room.
You little stupid ass bitch, I ain't fucking with you. You little dumb ass bitch, I ain't fucking with you.
I don't know why that makes me feel so good, but it does. It's like a P16 horn. Anyway, as I come flying around this corner, this is what, like, with this truck, you sort of need to know your enemy. It's boggy mud, all that sort of stuff. It doesn't like, but it doesn't like it when you go flying in high gear and then light the back wheels up. If I just dropped it into auto or low before I came flying around the corner in high, I would have got through here just fine. You see, once I winch forward and the tyres lift out of, like, the gouges I dug into it, then in low it's ticking along now. I've got the diff locks on, but I think I've put it in auto now, so it obviously removes the diff locks. And even through here, like, as long as you keep your speed going, which isn't, obviously that's pretty easy to do in like auto or low. Yeah, the biggest way you get stuck is lighting the wheels up, not running out of power or anything. It's tippable as well, but it's not ANK tippable. But it's not untippable, like, it's, yeah, 6 out of 10, but it's definitely better than the ANK. But yeah, all along here, it's, like, I think it's ticking along pretty nicely. As for damage and that, obviously you take, like, 1, 2 here and there, but I think because of the size of the tyres, there's a lot of stuff you hit that you just don't take any damage, that you just don't count because you don't take any damage, so when you see damage you sort of remember it, yeah, but there's a lot of things where other stuff, I think if you were flying over it, it would do a lot more damage. It's definitely stronger than the ANK in terms of suspension as well. So I had to try it while I was heading around this way. And see, it's things like this where it sort of surprised me. I gunned it in high, but then I dropped it in low and put the diff on before I dug channels. I only cut that because a tree was blocking me. And to be honest, it's surprisingly, it was one of the best trucks I've ever driven through this bit, which is on Black River. And I hate driving through this bit. The ANK hates it, the Navistar hates it, the CK, the Hummer. This thing basically just drove through it in low. I left this in just to show you, like, I could have saved that if I wasn't getting footage, but I already knew what was coming and I thought it's a good example of how easy it goes. So as for trailers, you can't have any trailers, and like I say, it's a shame because they obviously know that that thing at the back is like a hydraulic fifth wheel. However, you'd have to get another truck to get the trailer, but you can winch trailers. And then while I was coming out here, obviously someone less mature than myself might say, like, your mum's dildo's finally arrived, but of course I would never say such a thing. Just warning you that there are some people like that out there. But anyway, as we go to drive past it, got my thinking cap on. You can probably see where this is going. Obviously, long story short, nipped in the garage, put the little wheels and the like normal suspension back on. And yeah, it's not perfect, but if you just keep reversing it a bit, eventually it pretty easily jumped up on the back. And then what you want to do is winch from the front of your truck and then attach it to like the towing hook or whatever of the trailer. And I probably wouldn't suggest some serious off-road rallying, but I definitely think you could deliver stuff this way if you really wanted to, and I could probably fit like 2 cargo slots on my back, maybe 3, but let's just say 2 to be safe. So in theory, I could do, that's a 5-slot trailer, so I could transport 7 slots really. And it doesn't slide off and all that like you think. It with the winch pulled pretty tight, it kind of basically just sit it there, and it sort of just, yeah, acts like a normal trailer. Funnily enough, I did this about an hour before I found out that that thing was actually a hydraulic 5th wheel that flips out. So, and to be honest, I could have reversed at a better angle, but it shows pretty well that this thing just, yeah, with the engine and power, it just pushes the thing back anyway. So I nipped back in, I've got proper suspension and everything, chain tyres and that back on. So come flying out the garage. This is deep snow. I think the ANK would probably roll now. It wouldn't take much more, but it is less rollable. So even in deep snow, and I left it in high for all that, it glitched there a tiny bit, I'm sorry, but I go back and get it again. Over these barriers, one of the best trucks I've ever got for going over them. When I went back, I just died in high. Well, not died, it wheel span. So I had to go in low and put the diffs on, but yeah, like a lot of the trucks, even at this speed, still bounce off these a bit and moan about it and you can get damage. This thing never took any damage, it just kept driving over them, even at dodgy angles like that. Which, if you remember, I beached the TUZ on it. I was in Northport, I fancied a little dive, but the reason I left it in is because even when you nosedive in the water, here come its little peepers. Its little periscopes pop out and it's ready to go. So it doesn't matter, like, you don't have to pogo flip it like I did in yesterday's video. You can just drive in the water and yeah, it'll bob up. Not made it to that lighthouse yet, but I will. This ended up being this little impromptu snow test that's sort of been done for every vehicle. Scrapes its sort of belly a little bit there, but again, it's got the power and it just keeps sort of muscling through it. And yeah, it's kind of slow but steady. It never feels like it was going to get stuck or anything. And again, if you put the low range box in, you could have high-low, so it'd probably go a bit quicker. It's not really wheel spinning, it's just going at the speed of low, really. But again, obviously, yeah, I'd say there is better stuff for the snow. But it did better than I thought, and then obviously this rock over the other side of the road, I'm going to give it a go. I didn't have high hopes for this anyway, to be honest, so started to slip off, but it found its grip again, which the ANK didn't. That just rolled off, if you remember. And it got the back up, but then, yeah, she went. That's enough of that one. I went here quickly and stuck some cargo on it. I'm going to cut out some of this because it takes so bloody long, but yeah, again, the turning circle, like, I had to do a 5-point turn, it wasn't even a 3-point turn. But I'll come out of there, and this is that road then where you can, like, from the main road in Northport, you cut over to the fuel station. And I even hit that telegraph pole, and I'm in high, and it didn't die, it just built its speed back up. When you get to this middle bit, you can see all the mud flicking up. Not worth trying to push it. Once it starts doing that, just stick her in low, put the diffs on. But, surprisingly, and I've got a full back of cargo, I would say so far, of everything I've drove through here, that's the best I've ever driven through here. And I've done the Navistar, the ANK, the Dan, the TUZ, the Hummer, the CK, probably a couple of the other Scout vehicles, and yeah, like, slow but steady, it just does it. Again, you're definitely going to get used to cutting corners and so on to make up for the turning circle, or lack of. First water test, shallow water. I always clip that, but yeah, as you can see, like, flies through water. I'm still in high. That's where the turning circle gets you. I wish I'd just smacked that rock and tried bouncing around, but I suppose it highlights the problem. I was curious about getting through here because obviously there's an actual wide load banner on the lorry, so it definitely struggled a bit, but bear in mind it is basically a trailer welded to a truck, so that is the whole unit getting through, like, whereas obviously other trucks would have a trailer after that. This is just where, like, there's the cutover from the main road to the fuel station. I just wanted to show you which route I'm taking on these videos, just in case, I don't know, you might want to try it yourself or just wonder where the hell I am. And then I'll follow this round here, get to this, like, drilling site, and then try across that rock bridge, and I'll sort of go up there for a bit more of a snow test. It did hit its chin there, but I think just about everything I've drove through here so far does. It's just, yeah, it's sort of the angle it makes you face plant it. Even though the turning circle's bad, it seems alright on, like, corners. I don't know how to explain it. Maybe it sits the tyres in the grooves and it follows it round, but it feels like it makes every corner, but when it comes to just flat level ground, it's, yeah, got a turning circle of a cargo ship. See, I was too focused on tipping it, or not tipping it, and I was looking at the back. And because I stopped and everything, when I tried to reverse, it basically dug in, so I needed the winch. But then when I drive forward in low, it doesn't. So a bit like how I said with reversing it, it's better to, if you want to winch something over, obviously reverse on this is a little bit too torquey, and rather than pulling you back, it sometimes digs itself in first. So anyway, here's the rock bridge. Again, I didn't really have high hopes for this. One, because it's long and rigid. I don't even need to if I can finish that one. And two, because of its belly. But, well, you'll see. Again, put it in low, stick the diff locks on. And she's a couple of seconds, it gets up there. Once I got to this point, I knew I could try and stick it in auto. Tap L1, trying to get it. To be honest, it goes in high from first gear. But yeah, get it in high. It's like Rocky the sequel. And here it doesn't even catch its nose there. It sort of does, but it goes through. The Derry Longhorn basically almost stopped dead there. This little patch here is pretty deep snow as well, and I'm only in auto as well, I've not even got the diffs on or anything. And at patches along here I got into high. It's like it varies from like shallow to deep, so but you can at least go this fast. And again, at auto, a low range box, you'd have the high low. And then while I'm still in Northport, I want to try here, which I had extremely low hopes for. To be fair, at first I was sticking quite far to the left, so if I wasn't making footage I would have stayed to the left, but because we're giving it a review and everything, I actually did start moving over back to the middle a bit, because I think the other stuff I tested I did. Well, I wasn't, quite this close. But to be honest, even now I was amazed it got this far. I think even the Caterpillar wouldn't get this far, unless you're winching it off a tree. The TUZ, that got stuck. And again, for the sakes of footage, I start moving over, and once I get the back into like this particularly muddy, watery area. Oh yeah, just quickly, I have actually put a low range box on for this mud and the mountain. This was just cut on, obviously crap angle, bloody tree in the way. Reversing around to get like, I'll have to reverse out, mess around, get the back around. It's definitely got the power to do this. This is why I left it in. It's just a lot of trucks would just get stuck against that tree, but between the power of the winch and the truck, I'm kind of using that tree to push my back end around while the front obviously lifts up there, and then stick a winch on the back of the truck, stick it on that tree, and again just by like flooring it backwards and forwards as the winch is being pulled in, then it's just bringing that back end around. So yeah, you can definitely wrestle it around obstacles that You don't always have to do like some crazy 10-point turn or anything. I suppose this is like the last little bit of deep snow, and it's still ticking along nicely. I'm in high-low, and it's, yeah, not too bad. I honestly thought it'd get stuck about here. The Derry Longhorn got stuck there. That's where the wheels dropped over the front, and then that shitty axle just hits it. But yeah, I really didn't expect it to even get this far. Again, remember, it's only pushing from the back, so it's definitely got some muscle to it to shove the whole truck up the hill. It was thinking about it, but just jiggling the front tyres a little bit. But now, that's when it did sit on its belly, and that's it really. I had a couple of attempts, but that was the limit, and then that just shows you really. She does go eventually. So now we're in White Valley. I just wanted to, I know it's been in the darts video on that, but do a proper speed run test down the runway, nice flat ground. I actually think this is possibly one of the, well, possibly the fastest truck in the game. Maybe the Tager's pretty quick, the ANK is pretty quick, but it's definitely up there. It's got to be one of the quickest, because every time when I was doing the truck darts, this kept flying past everything. See what I mean? Like the pogo thing is surprisingly repeatable. See, look at the size of the engine. I didn't get to see it better and say. I won't leave too much of this thing, because I did put it in the yesterday's video. See, look, when you accelerate, I've got such high speed, it shoved my head through the seat, which has never happened with any other truck, so don't even know if I hit the water then. Bounced off that trailer pretty bloody nicely. See, it just bobs back up. Yeah, look at the actual size of the engine compared to him in the cab. Even them fan blades, like you rev that at a zebra crossing, you probably hoover some small children into the radiator. I was like, really game? Really? Yes, it did. We'll soon solve that problem though. There's nothing suspicious about parking here. I couldn't do like a drowning test, so I was like, yeah, what can I do? I can loaf when all jiu-jitsu on me then. Did like a drop kick, and it landed on its wheels. Told you, horse of a vehicle. As for me, not so good. I was just checking they actually hit and they don't clip. Slightly off subject, but if you ever crashed in a loaf into that, that's the last thing you'll ever see. As you wrap around the front bumper, and the Western Star probably doesn't even lose any speed. Again, just trying to enjoy the view. I've definitely not been here before. Oh yeah, possible future video. Like truck baseball / truck golf. Obviously once you're far enough away though, it freezes it where it is so it doesn't roll off hills and whatever when you're gone. I did like as well, when I looked on the map, like I like the 3D-ness of the map, the fact that you can actually see the loaf floating in the air. The horse of a vehicle. Just never stops. Look at the little baby engine on that. This engine's about the size of that loaf. Anyway. Completely normal. I wanted to do it at night, I don't know why, I just wanted to see. It was a pretty good test of the headlights, to be honest. You can see when the van lights up. Pretty decent headlights. That one got it. That's me dead again. Obviously it doesn't like the angle it gets when it knocks something off the cliff. Finally killed it. Even though the engine's in the front, I hit it from the front and it was fine. I hit it from the back, so it doesn't like it from behind. So yeah, that's about it though for the vehicle. I'd get it anyway because it's worth like a good 140 grand. So even if it isn't your sort of thing, sell it and buy your sort of thing. But it's actually, after doing this testing, I'm pretty impressed with it. So I might use it for a couple of missions I've got left myself, and I think it'd survive on all the maps really, except maybe Zimnegorsk. And even though it's only rear-wheel drive, like if it was all-wheel drive, it'd be bordering on OP. And I like the game that they've actually balanced. Like every truck has its use, but it also has its limits. And yeah, they're not all just printed off as one truck with different bodies. So yeah, that's it for today anyway. I hope you've enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon.